The Giants have had their fair share of questionable decisions this past 2 years. Really, probably what it all started with was actually the Saquon Barkley pick. There were several hyped up prospects at the time with Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, and Sam Darnold. However, they decided to go running back here. Questionable decision for sure, because usually you only draft a running back when you're looking to compete in the next couple of years, and also they certainly could have used a new quarterback, so it was definitely a bit of a head scratcher. I think many would say, you know what, it's okay if you don't want to go quarterback here, but why not just trade down, make sure that you can get some good picks and prepare for the future, instead of using a high pick on a running back who just doesn't have the shelf life that some other players might. But honestly, that's them beaten to death, and I won't continue to talk about it, but I will say one thing. Saquon Barkley is absolutely worthy of a number 2 overall pick. You can argue all you want as to whether or not the Giants should have selected him, but you can't argue his talent. His talent is just on another level. Let's start things off with this play. It's a pretty simple concept. What they're going to do here is they're going to have their right guard and right tackle double team that Jaguar right there. Then they'll actually have their center have a 1-on-1 matchup, and then have their left guard and left tackle each double team that Jaguar over there. With the multiple double teams over there, you would expect to run up the middle. However, the problem is that's not going to work out too well. Right now, Saquon's taking the handoff and looking up to see where the hole is going to be, but if you look at that Jaguar on the right side of the screen, he definitely did a pretty good job of making sure that he moves as close to the middle of the screen as possible and kind of taking away that hole that would have otherwise been open. But that is not all bad news for Saquon, largely because he looks around and realizes that situation right there. New York's tight end is doing a pretty good job blocking on this play, and also the Jaguar over there is trying to get too far to the left side of the screen, meaning that containment hasn't given up. That is an area he could run to, but again, there still is a problem. This isn't going to be great. There are still 2 Jaguars linebackers who are ready to watch wherever Saquon goes. If Saquon runs to the left side of the screen, well then a Jaguar can make a tackle. If he runs to the middle of the screen, a Jaguar can make a tackle. And if he breaks to the right side of the screen, a Jaguar is still in the area and could make a tackle. So what's he going to do? Well, he's going to run to the right and basically just take his chances. Say, I think I can beat this guy one-on-one, let's see what I can do. So it's one-on-one here. It's basically just, can Saquon get past this one Jaguar? But really what I like about Saquon is look at how far apart his legs are. The more far apart your legs are and the more you're bent over, the more you can shift from one side to the other very quickly. Because as you see, it does look like he's going to be going to the left, but what he's actually going to do is he's going to fake like he's going to the left and going to the right, and look at how he's able to pull this off. And that's just a fantastic move. There was some contact, but not enough to bring him down, and he was able to gain a ton of yards when that play really shouldn't have gone for anything. Maybe some guys shouldn't break to the outside like that, but Saquon Barkley absolutely could, because if he can get in a situation where it's just one-on-one, he's going to take that every single time, because he's going to win every single time. There's a reason this guy has been compared to Barry Sanders, and I'm not saying he's Barry Sanders because he's not. No one is Barry Sanders, but Barkley kind of just runs like Sanders did. He's the kind of guy where he can get around you or he can run through you. He can do it all. This play is another example where it's going to start off with 2 double teams right there on the right side of the screen, and then also Sterling Shepard is going to move out to block that Jaguar right over there. It's going to be a reverse on this play, and so to help sell that, the fullback will first fake as though he's going right over there, right to the middle of the screen, but then he's going to pull over and block the other Jaguar in the area. So since this is a reverse, it's going to take a little bit of time to develop. Barkley can't just take this ball and run as fast as he can. He has to wait for this play to develop. He has to be patient here, and he does a very good job of doing that, as you see. So now that he is stopped, I want to take a look at his quickness here. Look at how quick he's going to make each of these moves. He's so explosive with that. He's so easily able to gain those yards, which is just so impressive. When you have someone that has that explosive ability, there's no play that doesn't come in handy. Every single play, being able to be that explosive and that quick can come in handy for a running back. Another thing that he does just so well is his cuts. The way he'll move back and forth, it's on another level. Like on this play, there's going to be 2 double teams right there with the center and left guard double teaming one guy, and then the right guard and right tackle double teaming another one. But then someone will each get off that double team and try to block 2 linebackers right over there. So this now means that Jaguar right there is not going to be blocked on this play, and that's okay because it's supposed to be run to the right side of the screen, so you don't have to block him. At least in theory, that's what should happen. However, things aren't going to go exactly as planned. Mostly because look at the job that number 97 there does for Jacksonville. He's doing a great job of disrupting this play, and now there just isn't a hole in the right side of the screen for Barkley to run through. So he could try to break to the left side of the screen, but of course now there is someone who's completely unblocked on that side of the screen. Some guys would just continue running to the right side of the screen and try to pick up every yard they possibly can, and honestly, a good portion of them should, because a good portion of them would not be able to beat someone else in a one-on-one matchup. However, most players are not Saquon Barkley. So Barkley is going to try it, and look at how he's able to make that cut and get past that linebacker. From there, he has the speed to basically run all the way for a touchdown, which again, what other running back does that? There's a couple other guys, but not many. It's really just a select few that can make plays like that, and Barkley is one of them. Being able to make those types of plays makes you such an effective player, but I also should mention that Saquon Barkley is not just some guy who is just a great athlete. This guy knows what he's doing as well. He's a smart player. I know he's young, but he knows which hole to run through, and often when he needs to run through it. What do I mean by that? Well, I'll show you. Let's take a look at this play. Once again, there's going to be 2 double teams in the middle of the screen, and then their right guard is going to move up to block that Texans linebacker right over there. So as you see right at the bat, that guard does move up and try to block that linebacker. However, there's not enough space right now. This play took a little bit more time than it wanted to develop, so now there really isn't much room. So look at what Barkley is going to do here. Really, he would want to just run him through right now, but if he did that, without a doubt, a Texan would be able to reach out, get a hand on him, and make a tackle. So instead, watch how he just hesitates and then runs through that gap. That's a very small, subtle thing. However, that was the entire difference in that play. If he just ran straight forward, he would have probably gained 2 or 3 yards. But because he made that hesitation, it turned a 2-3 yard gain into a touchdown. It also helps that he's good enough in open space to get around that safety and get all the way into the end zone for a touchdown. But again, that's just smart football paired with being a good athlete. This guy is clearly a great runner, but we all know that. I think everyone who watched any football last year realized that Saquon Barkley is an elite level talent. One thing that I felt was kind of underrated about him is he ended up with over 700 receiving yards. I mean, you see 1,300 rushing yards, you're like, okay, wow, this guy is great, especially with 5 yards per carry. But he certainly wasn't just a 2-down back. I mean, he had over 2,000 yards from scrimmage last year. This guy can absolutely play, and he's a complete running back. And it's not just dump-offs either. Like, take a look at this play. He's lined up on the outside, and it's clearly man coverage right there. And you can tell that because the guy who he's going up against is a linebacker. If you have a running back out that wide and a linebacker follows him, you know without a doubt this is going to be man coverage. One thing that the Texans linebacker is going to do is try to create some contact at the line, but look at how poorly that is going to go. Again, because of Barkley's footwork and the way he's able to get around guys even in the middle of the field, he can use that as well when he's a receiver. So now, as you see, he's going to easily gain some separation. And honestly, I don't love this throw from Eli. If I'm Eli, I'm thinking touchdown here. Let's throw it to the end zone, let's put some air under it, and trust that your running back can outrun a linebacker and get there, especially when he already has a step. However, that's not what Eli did, and maybe he just didn't feel like he had enough time, but regardless, that's the decision he decided to make, and honestly, this throw isn't going to be the best. Instead of hitting Saquon in stride, it's going to end up being about right there, a little bit too high and a little bit too far in. Also, worth noting, I keep calling it Saquon. Is it Saquon or Saquon? Because again, these things confuse me. I'm not very good at knowing names, so please help me out. I've heard it both ways throughout the season, so if someone could help me out, I'd appreciate it. Or maybe it's one of those Tyrod things where no one really cares. But anyways, whether it's Saquon or Saquon, Barkley is able to make a great catch here where he's able to adjust his body weight and move up to make the play. Some guys just get wide open, and that's how they're able to make some catches, whereas some guys aren't as open but are still able to make this tough catches. Well, there Barkley did both. He got open enough. However, even when it wasn't a great throw, he was still able to move in and make the catch. It really can be a huge advantage when you can send a halfback out wide and they can run routes like receivers can. It can give you mismatches because it basically forces the opposing defense to have an extra linebacker on the field. There's also this next play where it's going to be a cover 1 man coverage on this play, and it's actually going to be a blitz, as that linebacker right there is going to be blitzing in. Also, that's going to be Barkley's route on this one, and at first it's actually not going to work out too perfectly. If you notice, there isn't a ton of separation right here, and both guys' backs are turned. Typically, when the defensive player's back is turned, that's not a bad thing. But when both your backs are turned, really no one has an advantage here. And not just that, but there's a reason why I pointed out that there is going to be a blitz on this play, and the reason is because that Redskin is going to be able to go right to Manning on this one. He's going to get untouched, and Manning is going to get clobbered, so he has to make a decision very quickly. So what decision is he going to make? Well, he's just going to throw it to Barkley and hope for the best. I think that just kind of goes to show what kind of trust that Manning has in Barkley. The fact that even though Barkley isn't open and Manning's about to get hit, Manning still takes a shot and tries to get to Barkley, and Barkley tells him, hey, there's a reason why you should have trust in me, because I can make effective plays like I just made right there. Having someone like that who can be so effective in a passing game as a running back does so much for you. Not only is he such an effective running back, but he's just another weapon you have to pay attention to. You basically have an extra receiver on the field at all times with a guy like Saquon Barkley, and that's just so beneficial. One of the things that really makes him such an effective player is his ability to cut and then also mix that with his speed. He's able to cut in a way that allows him to get past certain defenders, and then his speed and acceleration allows him to continue and then get as many yards as possible. Like on this play, what's going to happen is first New York is going to have their tight end right over there, having one-on-one matchup with that Redskin who's on the right side of the screen. And then their left tackle and the other tight end who's over there will double team that Redskin over there, and then one of them will get off the double team and then block that Redskin who's in the middle of the screen. So there still is a Redskin in that area, however, they do have a plan for him as well. They're actually going to pull a receiver over to block for him, and then Barkley is going to follow that receiver, which I actually think is a pretty good idea that teams should do more often. It can basically just give you an extra blocker. Of course, the downside is if a Redskin realizes what's going on, they can quickly get over to the right side of the screen, but I definitely think it's an underused strategy that teams need to do more often. And so the thing about Saquon is what he's going to have to do is he's going to have to fake his nose running to the left, but then cut over to the right side of the screen. But look at how effective he is going to be at doing that. He totally sells as though he's not going to the right, and by the time he finally does cut in that direction, he's easily able to get past everybody. Now there's just a safety to beat, and in fairness, that safety does have a pretty decent angle at this point. He has about 5 yards, so as long as he just takes a good angle, then he'll be able to chase down Saquon, and he'll at least be able to do damage control here and not give up a touchdown. But he just underestimated Barkley's speed in that one. Look at how he's able to just completely outrun him and basically walk into the end zone. And that's kind of what I mean. That's kind of what makes him such an effective player. He has the acceleration and footwork to get past that initial line, and then he has the explosive speed to then get past the safeties once he gets up to his top speed. It seems like he's almost the perfect running back. However, I do have to be honest, there is one slight flaw I found in his game. And it's definitely a nitpick. I mean, it's very hard to find any flaw in Barkley's game. Basically, here will be a good example of it. The first block you're going to take a look at is going to be the right tackle having a one-on-one block with that Tennessee Titan over there. And the reason why that's a block you're going to take a look at is because he's just going to do a terrible job of blocking him. I mean, look at that. He just completely whiffed on that block. So Barkley probably should just run straight at the middle at this point, right? I mean, that's not what the play was designed for, but at this point, okay, someone completely whiffed on their block. Now you should just run up the middle, pick up 3 or 4 yards, maybe even not even that much, but at least still gain something. And there's really nothing else you can do here. That's kind of what you just have to do. However, Saquon is going to continue running to the right side of the screen and try to get away from that tackle, and that's just a bad idea. There were too many Tennessee Titans in that area, and even though he was able to evade a couple tackles, he ended up losing 5 yards. That's a bad play. I mean, that's a play that you don't want to see a guy do, and that's something that is definitely a flaw in Barkley's game. I mean, yeah, obviously that play didn't work out the way it was designed to, but at the same time, how often do we see him have one of those plays and then be able to still find a way to get some yards out of it? I mean, it seems like a couple of those plays I showed earlier were him actually making something that would be the quote-unquote wrong decision, but he's so talented it makes it work. I mean, some of those plays I showed earlier were the quote-unquote wrong decision, but he was just so talented he found a way to make it work. Well, that's kind of what this play was, except for the making it work part. Yeah, it failed this time, but how often do we see it end up working? That's right, even in Saquon Barkley's negatives, they're still kind of positives because he does so often find ways to gain yards in these types of situations. I would never advise to do this, but that's because I would never advise someone with the talent of Saquon Barkley. I mean, the guy's talented just off the charts. You can hate that pick all you want, but the fact of the matter is, Barkley was about as big of a can't-miss prospect as you can get coming out of the draft, so that's why they really didn't want to miss on him. They knew he was going to have a tremendous talent, and you know what? Maybe they'll only have that tremendous talent for 6 to 8 years, but at the same time, the Giants probably do feel like in the next 6 to 8 years, they will have a competitive team again. They've clearly made some head-scratching moves and some questionable decisions in the past couple of years, but I feel like one thing is for certain. Saquon Barkley is a pretty great player.